My name is Cecile Johnson. I'm CEO of African Development Plan. I'd like to welcome you here today as we film part of Global City Unity's community outreach to keep you informed on issues that affect the global African community and that require us to unify and be on one accord. My guests today are Dr. Gail Fraser, Yusufu Mosley, Justina Winfrey, all activists in the Black community here in Chicago, all people who are solutions oriented, and they will help me as we focus on the findings from the Human Development Index as it relates to the issues impacting the Black community, called Impacting a Decent Standard of Living as Medium Wage, and what that means to the Black community here in Chicago. So, Dr. Fraser, Yusufu, Justina, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Fraser, could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Dr. Gail Fraser. I'm the president of Construction Management Consortium, LLC. In addition, I serve as the Dean for the United States Minority Contractors Association, and as well as being the former NAACP Chicago branch Youth and College Advisor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me also. My name is Yusufu Mosley. I'm a practitioner of what's called restorative justice. I'm a circle keeper, a trained circle keeper, and a historian of African history, and an advocate of Kawaii, the theory of cultural and social change that comes out of California as author of Maulana Karenga. And I'm basically a good guy.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Justina L. Winfrey, Principal Consultant for J.L. Winfrey Consulting and founder of Computer Advancement and Bilingual Education, GABE. And basically focused on community leadership, training our constituents and community members to become awesome community leaders.
Awesome. Welcome. So today we're going to go back to some things that we had learned some time back on. We asked the question, the Human Development Index asked, how are the people doing, right? And indicator number 3 is a decent standard of living, and that breaks down to medium earnings. So some of the data reflects in the state of Illinois between 2003 to 2013 that Black people continue to have the highest unemployment rates. When you look at African American men in 2013, their rate is 19.6%, and African American women 14.9%. So there's a gap there, right? When you look at white women and white men, you see white men is 8.7 and white women is 7.1. So consistently, you will see that there is a double, Black unemployment is double that of white, and the Latinos are in the middle. So in the 2013, unemployment in Illinois, Black was 17%, Hispanic 11.1%, and white was 7.9%. And sometimes people will say to you, but you know, we just came through this great recession, and you know, that's what caused it. Every time something happened, they say it's that. Well, no. For the last 6 decades, Black unemployment has been double that of white unemployment consistently nationwide, okay? And in those areas, say in our suburb, Chicago Heights, in Harvey, Kankakee, North Chicago, East St. Louis, from 2007, 2009, you've been seeing this consistent gap again in unemployment. So I say that because our cities were already experiencing economic conditions, and we are tired of people using current condition to blame it on why we can't do this and why we can't do that, blah, 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 right? In Illinois, nearly 1 in 2 Black males aged 16 to 24 is unemployed. So when you wonder why we have all that violence out in the street, well, they don't got nothing to do. So that's what's going on. In Chicago, it's even worse. 92% of Black males, teens, are unemployed in 2013. And if you go across the nation, you see 83% nationally. Folks, Philadelphia, New York, LA, Atlanta, you go to all these Black cities, you're seeing the same conditions because it's a plantation system and it is operating all over. When you look at weekly earnings by race, you'll see that the highest paid or weekly earnings race in the country is actually the Asian. Women at $751 and men at $970 a week. And then Blacks come in at $595 a week for women, which is 79% of the Asian woman's income, and the men come in at $653 a week, which is 67%. Well, the last time I went to the store, I didn't get to pay 79% of the price because I made 79% less, right? So there's directly impact. You come to the stores in the black community, we pay more for things, and then we make less money, and on every front something is happening. So the great disparity continues when you look at medium net worth and black households in 2011, which was $6,446, and it was lower than it was in 1984, which was $7,150. So we're not getting better, we're getting worse. And white household net worth actually increased 11% higher. The shame is that a high-earning married black couple household have on average less wealth than a low-earning married white household, right? And that is coming out of the Pew Research Center from the 2013 data, and they looked at average U.S. household assets, and they could see that in a white household you have the primary residence. Well, you know, we had all those issues with redlining and housing and mortgage and foreclosure, right? So they have a lot of asset in their house. They have business equity, they have retirement accounts, they have other financial assets, and guess what? You come to our community, we don't have anything, okay? So how long does a dollar circulate in the black community? 6 hours. 6 hours, not even a full day, 6 hours. If you go to the Asian community, it spends 30 days there, right? What does that mean? That means Asian people spend money with Asian people, and therefore they keep Asian people employed. There's nothing wrong with that. Go to the Jewish community, the dollar spends 20 days. Again, if a Jew needs something, he's more than likely going to go to somebody who is Jewish first before he goes out of his community. Again, that's called community. If you're white, same thing. The money spent 17 days in community. So 6 hours, 17 days. 6 hours, 1 month. 6 hours, 20 days. Black people, we have a problem, okay? African Americans have a buying power of $1.1 trillion. Did you hear me? $1.1 trillion. Yet only 2 cents of every dollar a black person spends in America goes to a black-owned business. Do you understand why we have such high unemployment, right? Do you understand why the Asian has the highest income? Because the money spent 1 month in his community, right, employing him and others, therefore he's going to have high income and he can afford all kinds of things, including probably sending money back to wherever, right? So when you look at the racial gap in America as it relates to wealth, the black community, there's a reason why we are lower than every other group, including the Hispanic community. We are the lowest with under $5,000, right, compared to $110,000 from the white community, again, because of all those assets and things that they have. But the big S key that we can do something about is that that dollar spends 6 hours in our community because the people who come and own businesses in our community don't look like us, right? So Dr. Claude Anderson said in 1860, 99% of all black people work for whites. Today, 98% of all black people work for whites. 98% of all black people work for whites. Did you hear that? You're enjoying a social illusion because you go to someone else's restaurant, but you don't own the restaurant yourself. Shame on us, right? He says there are 5 stages to acquiring power in your community. The first stage is economics, the second stage is political, the third stage is legal, the fourth stage is media, and the fifth stage is education. Economics is the key because guess what? When you own your economics, you buy, sell, rent, and lease your politicians. And as you see what's going on, he who can pay the piper and control these politicians gets the laws that are passed, control the media, and even what we do in the schools with education. So let's get up on top of this. The first step in building our community is reinforcing the economic base, okay? And we can control that if we're spending $1.1 trillion a year and 2 cents of every dollar come back to us. Shame on us. Find yourself a black business that sells something that you use. All of us use paper towels, toilet paper, toothpaste, clothes, etc., and support those businesses. You will see unemployment go down in our community, and you will see a decrease in crime, violence, health conditions, all them other things, because when people have money and they can now afford a better life, things will get better. Wow. Now, I want to ask my guests, we're focused again on decent standard of living. what are some simple first steps that community can do to begin to address this issue that the dollar spends 6 hours in our community, not even a whole day?
Well, you know, you brought up some key facts. One of the things, again, being from the chairperson for the National Black Agenda Consortium, we have a Black agenda that we have put together over a number of years. So many people that participated in it, but the key, again, education. Education is the key, because the figures that you presented, no doubt the masses are unaware of this. The masses don't know that I'm only spending 2 cents or whatever you said, or you know, out of the whole thing. So our people have to be educated, and as long as they're in darkness, and as long as they don't know what the issues are, we're going to continue to go around the same circle and make these same mistakes. But when we have a concerted effort to go within the communities and let the people know, this information has to be put out. So I applaud you for what you're sharing, because we don't know as a people. And so education, I would say, is the key factor in addressing initially what the problem is.
Yusufu.
Well, a lot to say, little time to do it in. First of all, I think we, in our return to ourselves as an African people here in America, we need to look at the values that governed our societies before. And those values were communitarian, not individualistic achievement. If you achieved because of the community and with the community support and benefit, and the community benefited from that, so it's a mutual exchange. I think we need to look at, if our dollar just stays 6 hours in the community, we in terrible shape.
Of course.
Because
Seriously.
we don't own a lot of the things that's in the community that other people own, and send that out. It may be out faster than it may be 6 minutes. Maybe you read the statistics
6 hours.
But that's horrible.
It is.
And I think that we have to really look at ourselves, take a long, strong, deep look at ourselves and say, is this how we want it? We want to become so dependent on other people with $1 billion budget, some bigger than some countries in the so-called third world, and we spending it on what? Trinkets, drinks, and fun and parties and all that kind of stuff, instead of building up many years. Let me hurry up with this. Many years, a lot of people have said we need to control our own economics. We need to control our own community. Yet nobody sat down and actually thought about how we're going to go do that. They say it, and they organize in their particular organizations, they've done it. But externally, the community hasn't picked up on it. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we missing something that's really within our culture? Where we shared things. There was one phrase in one West African society called the Akkad that said, there's only one bowl in the nation. I.e., we all share from the same things, because we all do this. It's a philosophy of sharing that drove us. It's a philosophy that I am because we are. That was walking. It's called Ubuntu. And all those kind of things helped us understand that I'm responsible for my brother and my sister. If they go hungry, I'm going hungry. If I don't cultivate my field, we don't eat. Not just that I don't eat.
Right.
So we have to really develop in our conversations, in our educational institutions that we want to rebuild to serve the community. Those kind of ideas need to be incorporated. Entrepreneur, yes, but a social entrepreneur. One who knows that she's working for our community as well as herself. Elevation to status, yeah, but I can't do it without the community, because the community is me and I am it. And we go on like that, and I think that my thoughts were, I'm very weak on economic theory. I'm more so on the practice. How can we come together and pool our resources to do the kind of things we need to do to bring redemption, salvation, liberation, all those kind of things to ourselves?
Okay.
Thank you.
So, if the dollar is only circulating for 6 hours in the black community, and we haven't seen a great economy since the Clinton administration, one should ask yourself, although blacks have been historically, held back, for lack of better terms, we have the opportunity to move forward and push ourselves ahead. It's just that simple, and we have to do it for ourselves. Dr. King said that so eloquently. what I can say in going back to my theory on the reason why the dollar only circulates for 6 hours, when we're dealing with history and the historical issues of why our people, our youth, the elders do not have black-owned businesses in the community, we need to look at the Bronzeville community and the Black Belt, and we need to look directly at the Austin community at a time when blacks own businesses, the communities thrived, everyone bartered and took care of each other. But after the race riots and the Chicago riots in the 60s, I believe, well, historian.
Race riots 1919.
Okay,
And,
the Chicago riots of the 60s completely tore our communities apart. Left no black businesses standing, and ultimately our community still looked the way that they did back then. When we're looking at issues of blacks not owning businesses, not knowing how to structure the businesses, we get right back to the root of education.
Right.
If you can't read at the 3rd grade level, if you cannot write at the 3rd grade level, let's keep in mind, Illinois, several years ago under the previous administration, took out the handwritten component for $2 million in the standardized assessments of our children. So if you can't read and you can't write, you're not going to be successful. We're clear on that. When you look at the Clinton administration, the welfare reform of 1995, NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999, which repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. That particular act, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, affects education as soon as you get out of high school and our student loans. It affects our mortgage loans and our pensions, okay? The hardest hit are minorities and African Americans, but there is a roll down and trickle effect that non-minorities and non-African Americans are starting to see now, okay? Years down the line. When we look at the welfare reform, and folks my age who were in high school at the time during the 90s and being told, well, you can't go to college. You have to participate in this 4 to 6 week job training program. When the resources for Pell and MAP grant money were there, you had caseworkers, state employed caseworkers, deciding that youth could not go to college and had to participate in the 4 to 6 week job training program instead. This went on for years, okay? Now, we have the North American Free Trade Agreement where within our communities, the money is not circulating because we're dealing with counterfeit goods, products that are artificial and not real, and they're being trafficked, they're brought in through folks who come from overseas. We don't have these resources to go to those merchants in India, in China, in Japan. But people who have those businesses in our communities, they pay pennies on the dollar for those products and they mark them up to our community members.
Right.
There's no regulation within our community for counterfeit goods. All of this occurred under the Clinton administration.
And everybody loves him.
So you all speak to that, please, because I was in high school at the time and I saw the elephant in the room.
I think that we're at a time now where we have an opportunity to look back at all of these things, right? And what I like to say to the community is this, is that it has not worked for us.
No.
So thank you, but we're going to find our own solutions now,
course,
right?
of course.
So let's look at some of these solutions. Blacks need access to money to build businesses,
Gotta
right?
have it.
Like Justina said, without education, if 10% of fourth graders are reading on grade level, right? And eighth grade, 15% are doing math, you know they ain't reading much more there either, right? then that means that some of the basic things to start a business, right, to run a business, and all the 50 million paperwork that the IRS and everybody wants you to do, they don't have the qualifications to do. So education is very critical,
It is,
right,
to
as a
educate.
core business skill. We don't grow and distribute our own food,
No, we don't.
right? And we had the black farmers who had been underutilized by the federal government, weren't given loans, filed lawsuits, and some still have not received, and in the meantime lost their land, right? We need black millionaires and athletes. They got to become part of the angel investors we need. The data says that even these black athletes, football players, 5 years after retirement are bankrupt.
Yes.
So therefore, brother, if you're going to give away all your money and be bankrupt, could you give it to the black community first?
Exactly.
So we could at least invest
Thank
it,
you.
and therefore we put your name on it, and then you can get a return from it because we're going to do some proper business planning, right? And you will actually have some income to take you into retirement, and you will be filing bankruptcy after you're done spent up all them millions of dollars on fast cars and girls, okay? Now, black people need to become more financially literate. They need to support black businesses and
have to do
save
that.
more, right? Black businesses need access to capacity building for business with strong emphasis on customer service, and we need some people who look like us. All them people at the what do you call them, the SBA and all of that.
Oh,
That's
yes.
fine. It all look nice on paper,
Right,
right? But again, if the people are not at the same education and literacy level,
Exactly.
then you're not coming in to give us where we at. You need to meet us where we at, not
Exactly.
where you at. You need to meet us where we at, okay? I need churches to deposit your money in the 2 black banks that are left in Illinois. Please, could you please take the donation, spend 10 minutes, and open a new account at Illinois Federal and Carver Federal, right? Could you please just do that, right? And the black banks, once the money start rolling into you, could you please give out some loans to community? And we expect you to screen us with the same stringent criteria, but please get some wraparound services that help the people to have whatever capacity they need so they can fulfill it. Nobody wants to come in and then run off with your money, right? But you know our community has needs, so could you please lower or have requirements that meet our needs? We will give you our money. You can give it back to us in forms of loans to help build businesses. And something black banks need to look at. Internationally, you need to begin to deal with Africa. They have commodities.
Oh, yes.
Africa has the richest resources in the world. Could you
Right.
get it together?
Yes.
Commodities can become part of our asset base, right? So I say that as far as some of the solutions that we have, we need black millionaires, business owners, entertainers. Listen, y'all have pretty faces, you can run, you can
Yes.
jump, but if you can't give nothing back to the community, then you're a
You
waste
serve
of my
no
time.
purpose.
Really and truly. Yes,
Really.
because most of the children
Serve no
that I
purpose.
speak to in schools are interested in becoming athletes
I
and
know.
stars,
I know.
and everybody want to be a hit rap singer, right? So if you're going to become these role models, could you become a role model like Magic Johnson and others,
Yes.
where you actually give something back? Bill Cosby has given millions of dollars to the black institutions, etc., right? So could you please do that? So what we're seeing here is that our community not only needs to know how to form businesses, but they also need to learn basic skills, customer service, right? I'm tired of people telling me when they go to black business, things ain't the way it's supposed to be. Listen, when we tell you about this, it's because we love you, right? We're giving you an opportunity to improve yourself. So could you please take it with that, right? And do something about it, and begin to open up opportunities. If every business that was now opened hired 3 people, we wouldn't have no more unemployment in the black community. It's really that simple. $1.2 trillion, right? Every year being spent. $6, 6 hours for the money that is spent in our community because the people who own the businesses, all you ladies with the hair, why we don't own that, right? Since you want to spend your money like that, spend it with us, right? All the black hair hair care businesses
Right,
used to be
right,
ours,
right.
and you
It's true.
foolishly sold them out to others.
This is
Did
correct.
you lose your
Yes.
mind? Did you lose your mind, folks, right? So we would like to see the 1.2 trillion come back to our community. We would like to see, I am challenging you, black millionaires, black entertainers, Oprah Winfrey, all of you big ballers, right? Bring some money back to the black community. In Chicago, we got the Black United Fund. Go see Mr. English. Give him a couple $1 million. Mr. English will manage it well and screen the businesses and all those things, and it will trickle down to us. Then our children won't be out there shooting each other because they got nothing to do
Right.
with themselves,
Yes.
right? So I saw children at school scared. Summer was coming up and they graduated and they kept coming back every day. So you know they felt
They didn't
safe,
know.
right? But if they had something, they should have a summer
Yes,
job
without
to
a
go
doubt,
look
they should have
forward to.
something.
So I'm tired of the mayor and other people's offices telling me all the things that they do for us, right, and for our children, because I'm not really seeing it
No,
when I'm
no,
out there in
definitely
community.
not,
And I'm
definitely
sure
not.
that there's some people who do get something from it, but I'm not seeing it in community. Brothers and sisters, entertainers, I'm really putting out a cry to you. We need your help. Help set up a black fund, and this will become the micro lending that's needed in our community. We are like a third world nation and a developing country, and in the developing country, we use microfinancing and micro lending. Could you please come into our communities and help us in that way?
Can I say something? Just one last thing. I mean, you know, just wanted to comment. To preface what you said, exclusively for African American children, because people have bought into the assimilation lie, okay, and everybody's married together, when in fact we're the ones as a people that have the major blight. And so the thing is before we can actually help all of the other individuals, we need to do, what did they say, you have to do it at home
Help
first.
yourself.
Charity begins at home. And I'll just close with one thing, where it's a scripture in the Bible that says that he that doesn't take care of his own house is worse than an infidel and has denied the faith. And so if we can go out and take care of everybody else in town but can't take care of our own, then that means we're infidels. And so I'm certain that we don't have, and I would hate to think that we have a bunch of infidels out here who are not concerned about their own kind.
Well said, Dr. Fraser.
Thank you
well
very
said.
much.
Just a proverb. African proverbs say, no matter how hot the water gets, it won't burn down a house.
It's water.
Ponder that.
Thank you, Yusuf. Okay, this has been another exciting ride. I wish we had more time.
Yes.
We've run out of time. My name is Cecile Johnson. Again, I'm CEO of African Development Plan. And I want to thank Global City Unity Community Outreach for giving us this opportunity to speak about something that's near and dear to our community, which is about how do we get our economic house in order. Like Dr. Fraser said, we ain't no infidels, right? So we're going to take care of home and the business first. And we need those of you who have done better to help us to do
Yes,
it. It
amen.
takes a village to raise
Yes.
a child. The village is looking for internal help, right? The 1.2 trillion, internal help to lift ourselves up and give us some boots, which have bootstraps that we can then lift ourselves up with. You can reach me by email at African Development Plan, African AFRICAN, Development Plan at gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook at the same name, African Development Plan, and I have a website, www.africandevelopmentplan.org. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you learned something. Please get in touch with us. Dr. Fraser, Yusufu, Justina, we're all in community, and we are looking forward to like-minded people joining our struggle, because we believe we can help ourselves and we can
Yes,
make it happen.
certainly can.
Thank you.